right. 3, 2, 1. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the new Helmets Off presented by WagerWire, the pinkest football podcast here on the internet. And I'm here with
Hollis Mathis.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. This is so cool.
Appreciate you having me on.
I'm just like so happy that you're here. Can you name a famous woman?
I think I'm gonna go Michelle Obama off the rip.
Okay, great. And what is one thing that she's famous for other than being the first lady?
She helped us get healthy in school. She gave us a lot of better meal stuff, right?
Yeah, she did. I'm pretty sure she was also behind like the Get Up and Play 60.
Really?
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
That was about that time whenever they were in office, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember that was really hype.
Yeah. They used to turn off the Nickelodeon TV show for the day. Like they would like take it off the entire day and be like, go outside and play.
Exactly.
I don't know if anybody remembers that, but it was like, go outside and play.
I remember that. Or like they'd have like the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, like the Sprouse twins come on and be like, all right, guys, go race your friend.
Yeah.
And they would like race each other and you'd be like, word.
This is childhood.
Yeah, no, exactly. So speaking of childhood, let's talk about Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
Because you and I have we have a terrible like amount in common.
Yeah.
So where'd you go to high school?
So I graduated from Penn Hills High School, about 20 minutes east of downtown Pittsburgh in 2019. Shout out to Penn Hills, the Indians there. And was there pretty much my entire life. And so, I frequent the east side of Pittsburgh a ton. And graduated from there in 2019. Won a state championship in 2018, which is kind of lit.
That's so cool.
But yeah, just Pittsburgh guy through and through. Yeah,
so I guess like growing up in Western Pennsylvania in particular, football's probably always been part of your life. Like, how did you really get into it?
Well, I always tell people like I come from a football family. Like the last name Mathis is like we play football, especially in like the Pittsburgh area. People kind of know my cousins and know my brothers, so I was always kind of around it. I think I didn't take a super great liking to it until probably until I was about 7 when I first started playing. I wasn't super interested prior, but then it kind of just hit me overnight where I was like, all right, I kind of want to go and put some pads on. And then my parents signed me up and it was history.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part of high school or like really any football before coming to college? Like what was your glory moment?
Probably have to talk about the aforementioned 2018 state championship.
Yeah.
Like that was some of the most fun football. We went 16-0, got to play with like my friends that we had like talked about winning a state championship since we were in like 6th grade and stuff like that. So like it was really cool to be able to make that happen, not only for me, myself, my teammates, but also just for the community. It had been a while since we had won the first one since I think 95. So it was like a long time since we had such a successful team and we went undefeated all the way to the state championship. So I know that it was fun for me. It was one of my most memorable moments just because it was like, who doesn't like winning and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think beating the state in 2018 was probably my most fond memory. And then doing it with my buddies too was like awesome.
And I'm sure that was like such a cool moment from a recruiting standpoint too, because like you get to be able to say that in like the height of like the recruiting time for you as a football player. So where were the other schools that you were looking at before William and Mary?
So I was actually, it was crazy enough. I cut my commitment pretty short, I'd say. I didn't have a whole lot of offers, but whenever I got my first offer from Howard University, I had committed my junior year, and that's where Coach London and staff were. Before this, they were at Howard, so I was committed to those guys since I want to say like 2017, and I only got one other offer outside of those guys during that time while I was committed, and it was to St. Francis University up in Pennsylvania as well. I think that was an easy choice for me to go down to make the decision to go to Howard. Out of the two of those were like my only two offers. And then once Coach Lennon and staff made their move down here to William and Mary, they had asked if I wanted to come with them. And so I came down and checked out the school. Funnily enough, we had came down to check out the school for my official visit the day after the state championship game.
Oh, no way.
So like the visit had started on Friday. And so like Marcus was already down here. And so like they had started the visit on Friday, but we had to play a game that day. Or that night. So we played the game, won the game, and then it was in Hershey, PA. So we drove all the way back to Western Pennsylvania, about 2-3 hours, get home around 2 or 3 in the morning for one of the coaches. I'm pretty sure, I know it was Coach Akatel. He tells me the story all the time. And he picks us up from Pittsburgh, drives all the way from Williamsburg, drives us all the way back down to Williamsburg at like 4 in the morning. and me and my family, and like, yeah, it was, that story is like a crazy one just because of like the how much out of the way Coach Alcatelli went to go, like, make that happen. And then yeah, we came down to William and Mary, and I think I committed on the way home of that trip after the official visit and after a state championship. So that was like probably one of my best weekends that I've had
You
in
were
a
on a
minute.
roll.
I was winning. I was winning, and I'm not mad at it.
No, I'm so happy for you. So I guess like on the topic of William and Mary, you've had a pretty incredible, just like, how long has it been? 6 years
Yeah,
here?
6. Everybody reminds me all the time.
Yeah, so
I'm an old man.
So over your 6 years, like, and I've heard you, just like, because I know you personally, talk about that you're an offensive athlete, and that's how you identify yourself. So like, could you walk me through, like the listeners through, like where you came up with that, what that really stems from, what that means to you, and like how you sort of like moved yourself around a lot?
Yeah, so as I said, been quarterback pretty much since I started playing football. I started playing at football at 7, started playing quarterback at 9, and then I was just pretty much playing quarterback all the way up through that point, learning how to play the position, learning how to throw, read defenses, and do that whole thing. And then got to college, started as a freshman, started as a sophomore, then ran into some like injuries with like throwing shoulder stuff, and ended up looking to try to find ways to still help the team.
Yeah.
The coaches still found that I would be effective out there without having to, be at the quarterback position. So they were like, "Are you interested in trying to play some other new positions?" And I was super open to just wanting to help the team. So they asked me what it was that I asked them what it was that they needed me to do, and just kind of my role has expanded from there to where it's kind of like a behind the line of scrimmage type running back, scat back type situation where I kind of got the ball and ran with it to progressing all the way to like a actual receiver running down the field and running routes. But yeah, just it all came pretty much out of necessity, just kind of whatever the team needed, and just trying to have fun with the guys while I was still here, ball out.
Yeah, I think that the funniest thing, I was taking pictures during the Richmond game, and I think you had the ball, and you must have run it, like, I think, or maybe you were trying to go for a catch or something. I can't remember. But one of the guys in the Richmond team looked at you and like, "Oh, Mathis, you can hop too." And you were like, "You should see what else I can do." And it was the funniest thing. I was like, "Oh my God, they watch your film. They watch all your film."
Yeah, it's actually funny. You would be surprised. I would play in some of those games, and I know it's crazy. I would go in there, and they were like, Richmond was like one of the first times where they were like, "Oh, Hollis is in the game. Like Hollis, like look at Hollis." I'm like, damn, like
first name.
Yeah, I'm like, y'all are calling me by my first name. Like I remember, I think Hampton, they called it something different. They were like Trick, or it was like, I think that one they had like a mean name for me for Hampton. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, it pretty much like almost every game. Whenever I would come in the game, it was like high alert, like something like Hollis in the game, Mathis 12, something like that. So it was definitely interesting and funny to hear like some of the discourse that came through after
Totally.
just kind of because like, I know I don't really understand my position that I currently play. I know I'm a receiver, I play everything, but I like to understand, I like to hear how other teams interpret it, like how they plan on guarding it, how they planned on like doing, like how they end up treating me. Like, do they want to treat me as another quarterback, as one of the running backs, as one of the receivers? So it was always just interesting to hear how like some teams would like game plan me and stuff like that. And that was part of it. Was like, oh, some of the funniest trips that I always got was like, oh, what happened? You can't play quarterback anymore? I'm like, brother, I'm still out here with you, and this is my second position I play. You've been playing this all your life, and I'm just out here just kind of not tossing it on, but I'm out here, I'm new to this, and I'm out here competing with you, probably making you look a little silly. So I always thought that was like some of the funniest discourse. But yeah, no.
I have some really, like, I was going through the pictures that I took at one of the games, and I was looking, and I was like, damn, Hollis is like jumping over him. Like that man coverage is like just turf coverage. Like, oh my.
Yeah, it's one thing to run to keep up with me. It's another thing to jump with me once you get there. But that's just the arrogance talking there a little bit, I guess.
No, I think it's good. I mean, I think you keep it interesting, and I always love hearing too, like everyone's reaction of like, oh my God, did Hollis just do that? And be like, yeah, he did. And I can't remember who was on the sidelines, but I think it was a mom actually. I don't know whose mom it was, but she was watching the bench, and it was the Bryant game, and you were in, And she goes, oh, adding it to the list of what Hollis can do. And I was like, okay, queen, adding it. But it's great. It's so cool to like watch you as an athlete. And I think that that's so much fun. But like, you also are very, very well known as Hollywood 12. So where did Hollywood come from? Where does 12 come from? Like what is your Instagram? Because that's how I knew you as Hollywood. I was like, I remember I came to William and Mary. I was at the box for a party and I had just transferred in, and they're like, you got to meet Hollywood. And I was like, who is Hollywood? And they're like, he's from Pittsburgh. And I was like, okay, great. But who is this man? So who is Hollywood?
Okay, both of those names, Hollywood and 12, I definitely mostly can't take credit for. So like I'm sure you've heard the people around the staff, but like a more intimate name that people call me is Holly. Like my family and like coaches and stuff like that, they'll call me Holly. And so whenever I was like 3 or 4, while my brother was playing football, I got babysat by some older cousins, and they were like, "Oh, Holly, you so Hollywood," and then they were like, and end up calling me Hollywood because it was a play off of Holly. And then I kind of pretty much disowned the name from like the time I was like 10 to like 15 because I was like, this is like a terrible nickname. But then as I like kind of got into it, I was like, all right, maybe it could be something that I could at least leverage to make it something memorable. And then so that's just kind of where the Hollywood came from. Is quite literally a family name that I got since I was like 3 or 4 or 5 years old. So I've been getting called some version of Holly or Hollywood for a super long time. And then 12 is just a number I've been wearing since my brother gave it up. He wore it first at high school and at Penn Hills High School. And then we played one season together. So he wore it from sophomore year to his senior year. And then I played together with him on my senior year. So I wore a different number, wore number 10. And then after that, I just was like, I'm just going to take that number from you and run with it. And, the little brother always kind of wants to, try to take some of the vibe and shine off of the older brother. So I was like, all right, I'm going to try to rock 12 like my big brother and see if I can do some cool stuff like he did. And then they allowed me to wear it here, and it's just kind of been part of the brand, if you will, and just trying to run with it, try to make it a thing that people can remember me by. So
that's really cool. Do you think you'll stay 12?
If I can play again in the next level at whatever, I'll wear whatever number that they want. But if I could get 12, I definitely think that would be perfect. It'd be fitting. It'd be the third level that I'd got to wear number 12, but I don't think beggars could be choosers. But if I can get another stint in 12, I would be ecstatic.
That's so happy. Cool. I love that. Yeah. So speaking of just sort of 12 and being here and not really having to change your number and doing whatever you want, what made you want to stay at William and Mary for your grad years?
Just to finish it out, I think it was one of those situations where it was like, I got 2 more years because of COVID and a red shirt. I could look to go. I think at this point, looking to go somewhere else wasn't exactly on the table unless it was going to have to do something with grad school. Like if I wanted to go get to a program that wasn't here, but having 2 years and having the opportunity to go to such a good grad school like the business school was just one of those opportunities where I was like, I can finish up and then still have the perfect amount of time to finish up my degree and have that all, taken care of. And so I was just like, that makes a ton of sense because I didn't really want to leave. I was, kind of ready to stick around for with Coach London and staff for my last couple years, especially with my new role. So the business school, timing that up with with my last 2 years of eligibility just made a ton of sense to me. And like 2 birds, 1 stone, go to a really good business school and get to finish out playing with a really fun, exciting program with a staff that I like. And so it was just like, at that point, it was a no-brainer, I think.
Yeah, and like I think that the other thing too that's so interesting is we have such a great, I say we as if like I'm part of it, but I think that what's so cool is like there's such a great team culture around William and Mary, and I think that like it's definitely changed who a lot of people are as athletes. And I think what's so weird is like being a senior myself, I get to watch the guys that I came in with freshman year and I see how they've changed. How do you think that William and Mary has shaped you?
Wow.
As an athlete or as a person or both?
I think it has shaped me a ton as both. Obviously, as an athlete, we have like some of the best coaches in the conference. A lot of people to teach you the game of football. I've learned a crap ton just about every little bit of football that you can, learn about. Especially coming in playing the quarterback position. But I think a lot of my like biggest growth has come from like just being at a space like this where it's like you're going to come in, and they told you what you're going to do whenever you came to college. You're going to go to school and you're going to play football, and that's kind of what you do here. And you learn how to focus up on things that matter. And there's not a whole lot of reasons to be out doing pretty much anything else other than school and football. So that's just kind of where I was like mostly locked in at. I think a lot of my growth, I've made a lot of gains on and off the field. On the field, I'd say, but I think like a lot of my like off the field growth was like some of the like biggest stuff. Just being an overall better person, being a better man, more of a man that I like truly think that I would want to like be the leader of a family. And like I think that's where a lot of my growth came from, was just like now I feel like I can wholeheartedly call myself a man, a grown man, like after being in a place like this for a while, and understanding responsibility and time management and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it grows you up going to a school like this, because you really don't have a choice. And I think that's where my most unexpected growth came, was in that aspect, because I knew I'd get better at football, but I didn't know that I would grow in some of these other aspects as much as I have.
Yeah. So what do you think that you could bring to the table at the next level if you are chosen to go to the NFL? Other than being a great athlete.
I think a professional. I think that's one thing that like William & Mary teaches you how to do, is teaches you how to be a professional. It teaches you how to get up every day, do the things that you have to do no matter what, because it's a job that you have to do. I think you're going to get an extremely hard worker. And I think there's like, I don't want to say there's levels to hard work, but there's definitely like a you really don't know what you don't know until you've like actually had to wake up, go to classes from 8 till 1, and then go to practice from 2 to 6, and then have to actually study because the classes are hard from like 7 to 9. So like there's like I understand like people are working hard for their craft and their sport, but like it's like you're kind of on a whole different type of like clock whenever you're working at William & Mary, because it's like 24/7 of like trying to make sure you're covering your bases academically, athletically, and this oftentimes goes unnoticed, but like even socially, you know what I mean? Just making sure that you're keeping yourself mentally healthy. And I think that is one of the things that a lot of William & Mary graduates end up having, is like that kind of advantage, is like understanding like what a real day's hard work is. And I think if I'm able to play for a professional team, I think that's something I would definitely bring, is just a professional and knows how to work and wants to come to work and is willing to learn and wants to get better. And I think that's kind of mostly outside of me being a good athlete, I think that's kind of where I would like to rest my hat on, if you will.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So now I like to get into the fun, more lighthearted. Like I'm Hollis. What's your pregame song?
Wow.
Because you're always singing.
Yes.
You are always singing, and I love that about you.
I think one of my favorite songs, because I think that's the thing. I like to try to find songs that I can sing, because it just like relaxes me. It kind of like takes me out of the like super tense mode. I like "Sweet Thing" by Shaka Khan. So like if I can, if I can turn that on,
yes,
like and just get the screaming, the.
Oh my god!
Just like anything like that, where I can get some like Mary J. Blige on the speakers. Like anything where I can sing is good. There's like some rappers that like I say we because I would probably just assume that the rapper can't sing either. Whereas like I'm listening to a rapper and it's just like we're both just kind of like screaming at each other and neither of us sound any good. But like, yeah, I just like music that I can like sing along to, kind of like let out some of my like tenseness while I'm trying to play. So, I like any of the old school cleaning songs that you would play on Saturdays, or, I like, certain rappers, guys like No Cap and all those type of rappers where you can kind of just like sing along and have a good time while you're listening to it. But yeah, I definitely think if I had to pick one, because I listen to it a lot before practice too, is "Sweet Thing" by Shaka Khan.
I love that.
It's fire.
That's amazing. So on the topic too of just like letting loose, what else do you do other than football? Because you're a very well-rounded person. What else are you involved in?
Yeah, so I'm running. So I don't know if I can say I still do, but me and Kayla, we do the Kicking It with KB and 12 segment show where we kind of hop on there and we just talk about we it's more like a segment show. We kind of just get in there and we just kind of come up with fun ideas to do. I'm also working with the women's basketball team as like one of the strength and conditioning assistants, helping out Coach Reed, and just help setting up lifts, help facilitating lifts, and just kind of being around the team and helping out as much as I can. And then aside from that, I'll do some more media stuff, working with Tribe Athletics and whatnot. But other than that, I am mostly in the house, in the books, watching YouTube. I talk to my family a lot on the phone, so I spend a lot of time doing that type of stuff. And I cherish like having good times with my friends. So I'll go and hang out with my friends all the time. Whenever before all my friends graduated, because I'm an old guy, I would spend a lot of time with my boys, like Nate, and kicking it with those guys, and just kind of chilling and watching TV. We binge watched a lot of stupid TV shows, and so just kind of just vibing. I'm a homebody, so like, I really didn't leave the crib. I haven't really left the crib a whole lot since I've been here. I'll
also
go
in Colonial Williamsburg. Where do you go?
That too. It's like you mentioned the box earlier, and I was like, dang, the box. I haven't heard that in a minute.
Yeah, no, we haven't been there since
they
2022.
Is that when it was, when they kicked us out? Yeah, that was a sad day when travel football lost the box. But yeah, there's not much to do. So I spent a lot of my time here just vibing and trying to find ways to get better at football, at life, socially, and all that other stuff. So
that's cool. So the other thing too that I think is so funny about William and Mary is that there's a huge Pittsburgh to Williamsburg pipeline. Do you think that had any influence with you being like super down to come to William and Mary? Like, I feel like I drive around and I see Steelers stuff everywhere. Like, do you ever feel like that too? Like that this is like sort of an adjacent to home?
I didn't know that until I came down here, and then I was like started meeting all these people, and it started with Colby Swarsdale, and I'm like, you went to Mount Lebo, and it's like, I'm like, oh man.
My God, stop! I hear people say Mount Lebanon, and I'm like, no, it's just Lebo.
It's Lebo. It's like, you're lucky if you get the Mount on there, but yeah, like
seriously,
met like a bunch of people. I'm like, man, I didn't know that there were so many people like from Pittsburgh, like down here. But yeah, no, I've like even like students I'll meet, and I'm like, yeah, man, where are you from? And he's like, yeah, I met a kid. I think his name is Sajin. Can't remember how to say his name, but he's from Peters, and met him, had a fun semester class with this kid. And I'm like, man, this is like so many Pittsburgh guys that like just are just around the school, and I would have never known. But yeah, no, I didn't know that until I got to the school here and started meeting all types of Pittsburgh people. I was like, dang, this is like another Berg, but just without the H.
Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah, they just chopped it off. They're not a school though. No, nothing. So okay, for me, like when people call Williamsburg the Berg, I'm like, does that irk you too?
Yeah, I was very apprehensive to hearing that whenever I first got here. I was like, guys, we have got to stop calling Williamsburg the Berg.
I would agree.
But I think I've relented over like the past couple years, where it's just like, all right, if you say the Berg, and like I'll be here and be like, no, it's not the Berg. Like I think I've been that guy for about 4 years, so I kind of let it go. I let people have it. I just make sure that whenever I say the Berg with Pittsburgh, I say a little extra at the end, like Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no, exactly.
At the end,
yeah,
so people can kind of get it. But that used to be a real bothersome thing for me. It was like, this is not the Berg. Can we stop that? But
No, my favorite will be like people will say like, where are you from? I'm like, oh, I'm from Pittsburgh, and they're like, oh, so you're from like the middle of Pennsylvania? I'm like, no, like I grew up in Shadyside, like I'm from Pittsburgh, and they'll be like, oh, where's Reading, Pennsylvania? And I'm like, do you mean Reading?
Man,
it's like it's so funny to me.
Here's the thing that irks me more than the Berg thing is whenever people are like, oh yeah, I know Hollis. He's from Pitt. I'm like,
no. Or people call Pitt U Pitt.
Yes.
It's not U Pitt. It's Pitt. Okay, to the listeners, the University of Pittsburgh is called Pitt, but Pittsburgh is called the Berg if you're even gonna shorten it, right. Or if you're going to put in your Instagram bio as a girl, do PGH or 412.
412. Everybody, if you know 412, you know 412. So like if Pitt is Pitt the college. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh is the city. I'm from Pittsburgh. I'm not from Pitt. I never went to Pitt. I never wanted to go to Pitt either. I'm not a Panther. All right.
it's too close to home.
I'm not down. I'm not down for Oakland. I don't think that's my college town. But I understand it. But I definitely, Pitt and Pittsburgh are two different things. Pitt is the college. Pittsburgh is the city.
And they are different culturally too.
You want to know what's super different culturally? The west side of Pennsylvania and the east side of Pennsylvania. And I'm so sick and tired of people like, oh yeah, how many times have you been to Philadelphia? I'm like, I can count on one hand how many times I've been to Philadelphia.
I'm like, I drive through Philadelphia to get to the beach.
Right.
I don't know.
I'm
not going there by choice.
People sometimes mistake me and be like, oh yeah, you're from Philadelphia. I'm like, No, I don't even know where you could possibly like. The only reason I forget that they're in the same state sometimes. Like
Yeah.
they're so different that they almost seem like they're like completely different states.
I had a girl come up to me from Philly and she's like, "Oh my god, no, the Delco accent is so similar to the Pittsburgh accent." And I looked at her and I was just like, I don't know whether to wring your neck or to just ignore you. I'm so sorry. But if I'm looking at you and I say, "You guys get into stellar game," that has nothing to do with, like, you know exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
Or like yins want to have a Bud Light, or oh my god, a like an icy light, or a Yingling, or just having someone look at you and say, "Go get a Yingling from the Uncle Stan." Like, I know that means get a Yingling out of the fridge.
You know what I mean? You want to go downtown?
Yeah, downtown. The incline. Did you take your prom pictures at the incline?
It's these little things, you know, that I
yeah. I don't know what people in Philadelphia say. I probably they say go birds.
They say go birds.
But other than that, they don't have pierogies that run.
No, they don't. Exactly. They don't have a pierogi race.
What is their culture?
I don't know.
Birds.
They got the Philly cheesesteak on us. Oh no, because
Permanis
fire.
What's your Permanis order?
I think I haven't been a ton, right? So I'm lacking on my Pittsburgh ease with that, but I'm definitely, the few times I've gone, I'm definitely getting the Roethlisberger. I think that's one of them, if I'm not mistaken, just because I'm a huge Big Ben fan, and like low key anything with the coleslaw and the fries on it and the pastrami, I think that might be that specific sandwich. Is just
I love that. Fire. I get a Pittsburgher with extra coleslaw. That's my favorite. And sometimes add a fried egg because that's also bomb.
You might just put me on. Okay, next time I go back to the city.
No, it's so good.
Fried egg. Okay. Let me think. All right, let me mentally note that.
No, it's so bomb. But yeah, no, like I think that being from Pittsburgh, coming to William and Mary, it's like such a culturally specific thing because it's so different from everyone that comes here that's from Nova.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh is its own place, and our relationship with football is its own thing, and it's so beautiful and it's so magical.
And even best yet, the head coach of this Pittsburgh Steelers, the most Pittsburgh thing ever, is from William and Mary. So it's like,
oh my god, yeah.
Once I figured that out, because I played sports against his kids, really, you know, great family and stuff like that, and like I was just like, yeah, this is like, you know, Mr. Tomlin, like I know I play against sports against his kids, when I went down there and like I think I got the offer, I think somebody had mentioned it was like, yeah, you know, Mike Tomlin went there. I was like, you know what, I always heard that Coach Tomlin went to a school that had an ampersand somewhere in there, but that's a word I only learned from going to William and Mary's, ampersand. That's big time. But I was like, I knew he went somewhere that had an and in it somewhere, and then once I realized that it was William and Mary, I was already committed, so it was like just icing on the cake at that point. But I was like, yeah, that's a fun fact.
Yeah. No, it's always so funny because I think that when you go back to Pittsburgh and you talk about William and Mary, no one has any idea what it is. Yeah. But when you come to William and Mary, everyone knows what Pittsburgh is because of Coach Tomlin. And everyone's like, oh my God, yeah, Coach Tomlin. Or Coach McDermott. And it's like, why was it Paul's Deli? Like, I think it was either last year or the year before that. And he was just casually in there with like his entourage. And I was like, hey,
how you doing,
Coach
girl,
how are you? Good to see ya. But yeah, no, like it's a cool culture to be here and be from Pittsburgh. It's a cool culture to live in Pittsburgh and go to William and Mary and like have that tie with football. Just like, honestly, like not even just socially, it's almost like in your blood at that point. It's so amazing. What has been your favorite college football memory?
I think I'm gonna keep it on the theme of like winning. That 2022. That sounds crazy, but you know, it's hard to remember the times when you're not having a fun time, like losing and stuff like that. But I think that 2022 season, whenever we won the CAA title, like especially didn't even play in this game, but like the game at Richmond when we beat them at their place for the Commonwealth Cup and for the Capital Cup, I'm sorry, and the CAA title, we were able to get both trophies in that same day. Like that was probably some of the most fun that I've had, you know, here at college, especially within the context of football, just because, you know, it was like super good to be part of such a I guess, you know, historic team, it being the best record that we've had here in a super long time. And, you know, being a key contributor to that was just, you know, that's just kind of what you come to college to try to help your team win. And, you know, we were able to do that. So I definitely think that's like the first thing that always pops into my head is just thinking about that team success and, you know, seeing all my teammates and all my friends kind of be able to, you know, experience that and have that time with it. I think that was like super important and super fun. Like my best experience has been here.
Yeah. Do you have any like off the top of your head, other than the chirps that you've gotten at like the games this season, like what your favorite ones have been? Other than being like these are the play calls about me, like is there any that have been glued in your brain, or anyone that you've played against that's been glued in your brain?
That had some good chirps for me, or that I gave some good chirps to them.
Ooh, let's do that you gave.
Okay, let's see. I don't know. I like the
Because
whole.
I feel like I always see you as like sunshiny, like I'm Hollis, I'm gonna jump in, I'm gonna sing at practice, and then like game day, you are like so locked, you have your headphones in, and you're like singing, but you're like angry singing, and you're like, I'm running my route, and I'm like, okay, he's running his route, and then it's like you're on the field, and it's just like I love it,
Yeah.
but like you get it, you're different.
Yeah, I get competitive, and I try to like keep that like within me until like game days, because like I think that like level of competitiveness is not healthy to be like all the time, especially at like practice and stuff like that. So like I'm like try to keep the competitiveness thing to more of an actions thing. But like once we get into the games and like emotions are high and things are happening, yeah, I definitely will get into some chirping here and there. I don't know if I have anything that I can particularly remember. I think it's just a whole lot of like people try to discredit kind of like the fact that I'm like not a quarterback anymore, and I'm just like, but bro, I'm out here kind of killing you at my secondary position if that's the way you want to go about it. But yeah, no, I normally try to keep the chirping of the stuff that I say on the field, because it normally doesn't sound great, once it comes off the field, as far as like, being a nice guy.
Yeah.
Which I try to be, which off the field, but on the field I'm definitely not that nice guy. And I think anybody that's played against me like at any level since I've been playing sports kind of understands that like I'm like uber competitive when it comes to certain things. But I don't know. I think some of my best chirps have just been like, you guys are just calling my name so much. You guys must watch a lot of film, and so it's just mostly like stuff like that, where it's just like these guys have done their homework, I guess. And yeah, I think I'd have to really sit down and think about my best chirp
You're
out to
living rent
somebody.
free in a lot of people's heads.
That's probably one I probably should have used, was like, dude, I'm literally living rent free. But yeah, that was kind of like the gist that I got, was like, these guys are very much worried about 10 other guys out here. And I just jogged onto the field, and here you guys are like calling my name.
Yeah,
like,
you jogged, you did not run.
Hey, I gotta save it. Gotta save it until I get out there, because once the speed happens, the speed is gonna go.
Yeah. Has there ever been a time like in your college career where a coach has tried to poach you for their team?
Um, I think there's been some times where there's been some like really nice coaches. I think I know some coaches from up Albany. I don't know if they'd ever really try to poach me, but they're always making it known that I'm welcome to bring some speed over to their team and stuff like that. Some former offensive coordinators that have passed, like left and gone and stuff like that, have asked if I wanted to come and try to bring some speed over to their team and stuff like that. But yeah, no, not a whole lot of poaching. I think it has to do because I talk a lot of crap, so I don't think a lot of people want me on their team after I get done, berating them verbally on the field. So I don't know if I hope I didn't burn too many bridges with the coaches in the CAA, but definitely don't know if I'm anybody's favorite.
I mean, I think that just is better. Honestly,
I like it though.
I would like it too.
I don't mind. It's like, man, you guys kind of hate me. It's okay.
No, and you know what? Like that, just as long as you're relevant.
Yeah.
Just as long as you got the people talking.
My teammates like me. So
and you know what? And that's all that matters. And I think that's another thing too, of like you were elected captain for this season, and what has that really like changed your personal dynamic with the team, and like how you see yourself as a leader, or has it just been like, okay, like I have a C on my jersey, this is like I'm still gonna lead?
I think I went out my way to make friends with guys before I was a captain, just out of the idea of like I want to have friends that I can lead out of this college experience with, and have like built relationships that are like meaningful. I think once I got the C on my chest, I kind of took that to another step of like actually trying to get out and like learn everybody that's on the team, because like as you lead, you only can go as far as the guy in the back. So it was like one of those type of situations where I was just trying to find ways to be an effective leader, and sometimes that meant going and making sure that you're sitting down and having lunch with everybody, talking with everybody, trying to find some commonality with all your teammates. And I think that's kind of where it switched up for me. Mostly I think the next biggest part that switch was just like at practice now, it's not just about me getting better. It's about making sure that, everybody is able to get good enough because, as a leader, and the idea of being a leader is getting a bunch of people to go towards a shared goal. And you need everybody in order to get to that shared goal of winning games. So it no longer was, all right, did I get better today at practice? It was, all right, how many guys were able to get better today at practice? Were we able to get the entire, second team some extra reps because, we're working well. So we're able to get some other guys some different work and stuff like that. That kind of stuff kind of, made its way to the surface once I got to see on my chest. But as far as like, the competency of playing the sport, I think that was just one of those things where I understood that, whenever things were going crazy, they probably would be looking towards me for some plays and stuff like that. And I was just, that's kind of what that's kind of what I live for. I want to make those plays. And I like whenever people are counting on me to make those plays. So this is one of those situations where on the field, I was kind of, doing what I've been doing the entire time, but off the field is kind of where I kind of, took a step up in my servitude leadership and just trying to, find ways to help people so that they can help me with the team shared goal of winning some games.
That's awesome. If you could tell an NFL head coach one thing about yourself as a prospective athlete, what would you want to tell them?
You're going to get a guy that's going to compete his tail off, and you're going to get a guy that is going to do pretty much whatever you need. Whatever it is that you need, I'll go out there and give it 110%. I think all my coaches they used to kind of yell at me because they used to be like, you're running through your legs every day at practice because you decided that you want to sprint at every point of practice, like whenever you are in the game. So I think that's just like a guy that's going to come in and play at 100% the entire time and like really just work hard. And once again, just like a professional that wants to come in, find ways to get better, and wants to learn from everybody and every opportunity that I come across, and just try to get better every day, like literally try to find ways to get better at multiple aspects every day. So I think that'd be where I hang my hat on, is just like I'm a smart player that can play multiple positions. I play quarterback. I know how to read defenses. I'm gonna work my tail off, is what I've been doing the past 6 years, and I'm fast and I make plays. So this is one of those situations where I think I would kind of like lean on those things, where it's just like I think that's where I could help an organization out if need be. Yeah,
that's really cool. And if you could pick your dream division, where would you go? Like what part of the U.S.?
To play ball. I think I don't know. I think at that point I'd be super impartial. There's something special about that AFC North. There's
something gritty about it.
It's just like that is the type of football I've grown up on. Like I wanna not like my division mates like real bad. Like I wanna like I like that type of football where it's like we don't like you. And it's like we're gonna play like it. I don't know. I just think that type of football is kind of what I grew up on. I've had some rivalries like that, since I was at Penn Hills and stuff like that, where it's just like we're gonna get after it today, and it's just like you kind of know what to expect. And I think that's what the AFC North is. They call it the ghetto of the NFL for a reason, because those guys are absolutely getting after it. It's lit.
I love that. Well, thanks for being on here.
I appreciate you having me. It was fun. This pick is awesome.
Thank you.
I'm loving it.
Boom.
Put it there.
Bye, guys. See you next time.
Peace.